Hello, my name is Derek Johnson. I am Project Director of the Dried Fish Matters project. In the previous part of this roundtable session on food, Eric Thrift introduced the Global Dried Fish Literature Survey. Eric highlighted our findings from that research about food science. In this presentation, I draw on the same research effort, but focus on the state of knowledge on improvement in the global literature on dried fish. Improvement is about the deliberate desire to make something better. In the Dried Fish Matters project, we hold that dried fish provide crucial nutritional, economic, livelihoods, women's empowerment, culinary, cultural heritage, and other values. Yet, these benefits are often overlooked or threatened by a variety of factors. Improvement is important as a broad reference point for focusing attention on the contributions of dried fish and enhancing those contributions. We are aware of the critical development literature on the idea of improvement, but leave that aside in this short presentation. A key component of the Global Dried Fish Literature Survey was a quantitative analysis of the main themes that characterize the dried fish literature. The figure on this slide summarizes that analysis. The figure shows the relative weight of 6 central themes in the dried fish literature. As Eric noted in his presentation, the largest focus on improvement in the dried fish literature is technical food science efforts to improve dried fish product quality. This orientation is clear from the food science dominance of the literature, as the chart on this slide shows. The second area of work on improvement related to dried fish is in the economic sphere. The potential of these studies is to identify interventions that could result in increased value addition, reduce inefficiencies in production, or improve livelihoods and quality of work. Research in both of these areas of product improvement and economic innovation addresses key problems associated with dried fish. In both areas, however, there is a gap between problem identification and the effectiveness of research and engagement with dried fish actors to actually realize improvement. This gap is highlighted by the persistence of the idea that solar dryers are a kind of silver bullet to solve product quality and value addition concerns in dried fish value chains. Yet, our research shows that there has been a repeated failure in uptake of solar dryers. Our research suggests that the reason for the gap between problem identification and successful intervention may be the relative lack of inter- or transdisciplinary research on the broader context within which dried fish are produced, distributed, and consumed. I would point to the very low number of references in our literature survey on policy and governance as an indication of this gap in the dried fish literature. Unlike the broader fisheries literature, where these themes are dominant areas of concern, their marginality in the dried fish literature suggests that far more work needs to be done to apply the lessons of research on policy, governance, and development to dried fish food systems. Our literature review identified a small number of sources that serve as examples of the broad sense of improvement that we think is needed in work to strengthen dried fish food systems. One of the most important clusters of work that we identified of this type is interdisciplinary research on dried fish value chains in Zambia and the inland fisheries of the African Great Lakes. These studies emphasize the importance of paying careful attention to contextual factors, such as the historical legacy of colonialism, and to gender ideology, as they shape persistent challenges in addressing problems, such as post-harvest losses in dried fish value chains. Other examples arising from the Dried Fish Matters project are recent papers by DFM doctoral students Madhu Galapati and Cecile Pradhan that look at dried fish value chains from the perspectives of social ecological systems and gender theory. Only when the broader systemic context is considered and a greater diversity of approaches and methods employed, as in studies like these, Is it likely that interventions will begin to address the variety of challenges the sector faces in order to sustain the very important benefits of dried fish? Our ambition is for the Dried Fish Matters project to continue to add new approaches, cases, and evidence in Asia to move this agenda for improvement in dried fish food systems forward.